God morning, God morning, God morning now. We have an incredible guest joining us this morning. We now have the live stream up. Apologies for the tardiness here. And family, I just have to give a little bit of an apology for how the live streams went on day 342. I think in 341 and 342, or either 342 and 343. 342 was recorded before I went to the airport. It was recorded on Sunday morning and it was set to release on Sunday. And it looks like it didn't release until Monday. It was done on Sunday. And the full Clubhouse recording is on Clubhouse. If you want to go there, you can get the whole thing on Clubhouse from Sunday. And then Monday, which was yesterday morning, I think there was no sound. So what we did is we added the Clubhouse audio to yesterday's live stream so that you can have sound. Now, I will get our guest in. Woohoo! You all know her, and she is returning today. And I'm so happy that she can be with us again. You're gonna love it. You're gonna love it. So, as we prepare and have everything set up, go ahead and give a share. If you are on Clubhouse, you do not want people to miss this conversation. Go ahead and tap a share if you're on Clubhouse and let people know, hey, hop in this room. You want to be in this room. And do you love this pop socket? Oh my goodness. I just love this pop socket. It is an actual agate, which I love. All right. Go ahead and tap a share while we prepare. Tap a share while we prepare. Tap a share. How you loving? How you loving? How you loving? How you loving, family? How you loving? We're getting ready. Just when you want things to move fast, they move slower than ever. Yeah, that's how it works. Well, no, that's a story I'm telling myself. Okay, hold a second. Ugh, no, I don't want you to do that. Hold a second. And this is not her, this is me. This is all me. Okay? So joining us this morning will be my sister, my friend, my love, my boo. Well, she's married, so she's not my boo in that way. I have to be very clear in my conversation and in my sharing. She is my sister in ministry, Reverend Danielle Randall, and she is popping on. I did not get. She agreed days ago to be with us again. I was like, the family loves you. Can you come back? Can you come back? I'm like begging her, can we come back? Why did I have to beg her? Because she always says yes to God. She always says yes to service. She always says yes to God. And when she gets in here, I'm going to let her lead us in a beautiful prayer and a beautiful course lesson reading and discussion. I'm coming to you from Sedona, Arizona. We are in our beautiful space where we are. If you could see this view, it's dark now. It is 5 a.m. in Sedona, Arizona. We are here every day for 365 days straight doing a course in miracles and loving on each other and loving on self and loving on all and loving on God. That's what we're doing every day at 7 a.m. Eastern Time. And we are currently at the Sedona Retreat, Ritual and Retreat, and the initiation of our beautiful new witches who have stepped up and decided, chose that they're going to serve humanity as high priestesses in the Temple of Maat. Well, they have undergone rigorous study for more than a year. Usually our witches are in for a year. They've been in for more than a year. All right. Blessings, sis. Sis. How you love it, sis? I did not have my ish together this morning. So that's why. I told everyone, I said, if I had done this last night, You know, I told them my sister, my love, my boo, Reverend Danielle Randall's gonna be with us again this morning. How you loving, sis? How you loving?
Good morning.
You good? You
I'm
good? Okay,
good.
let me just make
I
sure the
am
sound is
good.
good so everyone can hear you well. How are
Yeah,
you?
I
How
can
are
hear
you?
myself.
Oh yeah, it's loud and clear now. How you loving,
Yeah.
sweetie boo? How you loving?
Good.
Yeah, you
Doing
good?
good. Getting ready for the Christmas extravaganza. That's where my
Holidays,
head is. Yeah,
holidays,
I do
holidays.
love the holidays.
Holidays beautiful. They're so beautiful.
Yeah.
So that's one of the reasons why we're here in Sedona, because not only do
Oh,
we have our retreat going on, we have our winter solstice ritual going on.
yay. Oh,
Yay! So
yay.
yes, isn't that fun?
How is it going?
Oh my God! Yesterday was a full day. Yesterday was first day, so we all got here like Sunday, and yesterday the retreat started. It's uh, Monday to Thursday. So Thursday morning we complete, and then everybody flies home on
Oh,
Thursday. Yeah, so we can always
oh,
for our winter solstice we always make sure we complete so that everyone can fly home before the holidays begin. So
oh, that's beautiful.
oh, it's gonna be so. I just love it. I just love it, and it's really cold in
I was
Arizona.
gonna say, yeah.
It's colder than normal, sis. It's colder than normal. So it's colder than normal, and we do rituals outside at night.
Oh,
Well, we
so
have a lot
that's
of
chilly.
blankets. Yeah, yeah, yeah. We got a lot of blankets and we got fire. And that's all
And
we need.
you
And we
have
have
each
God.
other. You have each other. You
We have
have
each
the
other.
spirit
We have
with you.
spirit. All of it.
That's right.
All of it. So speaking of that, you want to start us with a prayer?
Of course. All
Okay.
right. So let's share a few breaths together. And another. Most divine and Holy Spirit, Creator God of all there is, we join here today in celebration of seasons and cycles of births and rebirths, knowing that life is full of inherent beauty when we open our eyes to that which is already here. And God, we ask that you bless each and every one with prosperity and health and love and joy and peace in this holiday season for all of the holidays that are celebrated in the many beautiful ways. And God, we thank you for our beloved sister, Valerie Love, who has faithfully heard your call and answered day after day after day, bringing us here together to deepen our connection with you through A Course in Miracles. And as the Course teaches, we ask that today you empty our minds and fill them with your word. Fill them with your peace, with your ideas, and with your love. And we just thank you, God. We
Thank
thank you for all that you do and all that you are for each of us individually and collectively. We bless you. We bless ourselves and each other. Amen.
you. Amen. Amen.
Amen.
I love seeing your smiling face in the morning. I'm telling you, I love it.
I'm a good morning person.
Girl, I'm
Oh
telling
my
you. I mean, it's just a smile, $1 million smile. Oh my God. You look amazing,
gosh.
sis. You look amazing.
Oh, thank you.
Yep. All right, we're gonna go on screen share and we're gonna go in on this course lesson. How does that sound?
Sounds good to me.
Lesson 354, at this point in the course. Now, Danielle, can you tell people can you share with them about how we had to read the course and our daily spiritual practice and our interesting experience? What was that, third year in interventions of us waking up every morning and
Oh,
making that insane commitment of 4 a.m. And then you're saying, I'm with her. I was like, you are?
Oh,
You remember?
I'm a good go with and a good morning person. I mean, I'm not as great on my own, to be perfectly honest. I'm better in company.
Me too.
Meaning, like, if it's something like 4 a.m. and we are going to commune and connect, it's better for me with company for sure. So I know I couldn't have gotten through it without you. And I would have said, oh, I could read this later.
Yeah, I could do this anytime. I could do it at lunch.
Oh my gosh. But all the many blessings that came from our, just time together, and the stillness that happens when something like this is a part of your life. So
Yeah.
certainly appreciated. We going in?
Yes, indeed.
Hmm.
And you know what I love about that experience? Spirit knew that I would not honor that commitment on my own. I just wouldn't. And not because that means anything bad about me or that I, never make yourself.
No.
I just knew that in my place in my development and unfolding, that I require support. Remember that.
Yeah, I do.
I
But what a
remember.
beautiful thing, though, to know thyself, right? Why do we have to believe that we could or want or need to do it on our own? I just don't. I mean, I feel like that's what this lesson is. You always have such a good segue to the lessons, because it is about not being alone in your mind, not being alone, you know, in your beingness, being with Christ. And again, I mean, let's read it, because you're telling the story of this lesson. You always do that.
That spirit, it's really uncanny. Isn't it eerie? It's very eerie. It's alignment.
It's alignment.
Right, with source. And I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
We stand together, Christ and I, in peace and certainty of purpose. And
Hmm.
in him is his creator, as he is in me. My oneness with the Christ establishes me as your son, your child, your daughter, beyond the reach of time and wholly free of every law but yours. I have no self except the Christ in me. I have no purpose but his own. And he is like his Father. Thus must I be one with you as well as him. For who is Christ except your Son as you created him? And what am I except the Christ in me?
Hmm.
Christ consciousness. Yes, the
Yes.
yes, universal Christ consciousness. What says this?
What say? What I say is, if we think about how we've come to understand that Christ is inherently who we are, inherently an aspect of our beingness, we can eliminate the idea that there's even a possibility to be separate from God, separate from life, separate from the consciousness that creates all things. And then I believe what happens is we can stop doing the dance that lets us or keeps us in struggle of, is God with me? Is God not here? Am I with God? Am I not with God? When we eliminate the idea that we could even possibly be without Him, then we can thrive truly in peace. We can thrive in our certainty of purpose. We can thrive in knowing that we are not alone, that there is always another, right? Because inherently there is already another within us. So I believe that this is a culmination of wholeness and a succinct description of what it must mean for us to simply stop believing that there's a possibility that we could be without,
Mm.
rather than trying to find a way in consistently. That's what I say.
So it's a reversal of what sometimes happens automatically in our human state. We're trying to get to God. And what you're saying is you're in God already, and God is in you. Okay, now operate from there rather than trying to get to God, which is what I did
Correct.
for like the first half of my life.
Yeah, well, I think that that's what we're taught. God is externalized, so it makes sense that the ego believes that you have to do something to go get it, right? That there is a efforting that is required.
Mm.
But I find with spiritual truth that if we truly, if we flip it over and rewire our mind to understand that the absolute is not that we can have it, but that it's already here and we operate from it, it's just really a more natural remembrance, which is what the Course is, a remembrance of that truth. And it takes out all that guilt and shame that I've done something wrong because I can't get there, right?
Mm.
So, at least for me, I believe that the Course in Miracles is a path to rewiring your consciousness to remember that there's no place to go.
There's no place to go. You're already there.
Correct.
And when you just sit in that, what happens for you when you there's no climbing to get to God? Sit in that. What happens? Or what have you seen happen for people too? Because you help a lot of people with this. What have you seen happen when people just sit in that?
Yeah. Well, for one, I feel instantly at rest. It takes my entire nervous system down,
Hmm.
and I can take a big sigh of relief. And I can feel that in my body. I can feel that physically when that happens. And I can feel it physically in others. And so what I observe is that they too feel like the ultimate permission to rest in the certainty, right? Peace and certainty of purpose is knowing that there's nothing more to do.
Hmm.
And so, from a place of peace and rest, oh, I can hear. I don't know about you, sis, but I
Shoo.
can hear.
Shoo.
And I
Straight.
feel like I've observed my clients as friends, anyone I've, brought to this moment, they feel the same way. They are amazed that they can hear, that the mind that actively seeks all the external answers has a conscious recognition that you don't have to do that. That, like, if you can just simply get to the place of alignment, again, the other thing, of course, in Miracles is, rewiring and teaching us in these lessons is alignment already exists. It isn't a getting into alignment, it's a being in
Hmm.
alignment and the accepting of the idea that it's already who you are. It's already what you are. You are inherently in alignment until you aren't.
Hmm. And how do you get out of alignment? You do something to take yourself out of alignment. We think something. How do people get themselves out of alignment? Alignment is default. So how do people take themselves out of it?
By looking outside for what I would consider the gifts, right? For the
Hmm.
states of being that matter. Even wisdom outside of self is out of alignment. Stillness is the platform for wisdom.
Mm. Say that again. That is a tweetable, quotable.
Stillness is the platform for wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
So we get out of alignment when we can call all the things, right? When we busy our minds, when we busy our bodies, when we busy our spirit, when we busy our emotions, right? And so when we are busy, and that can look different for everybody. You could be sitting still and be very busy in your mind. You could be busy in your spirit. You could be busy in your emotions, right? So the alignment is there once you get still. It's just there. It doesn't, like, there is no real place to go. It's not, for me, it's not a thing I do. It's a place I be,
Mm.
where I dwell.
Mm.
And when I get there, I feel it differently. I mean, I can instantly feel it. I feel like most people could recognize that for themselves. How about you? Do you recognize that for yourself? What do you feel?
Instant lightness, instant tingling in the body, instant like whoosh.
Yeah.
Space.
Instant expansion, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So being out of alignment means contraction. We feel contracted, right? We feel tight in some way, shape, or form. We feel limited. To me, constraint is limited thinking, it's a tightness. But the minute we stand together, Christ and I, in peace and certainty of purpose, you better believe that everything is an option. How could it
Mm,
not be? If Creator is Christ in us, how could any constraint be possible? It has to be a state of expansion. And I think that you described how it feels, beautifully.
mm.
People get some of that, all of it, none of it, but it is that place where you're just like, whoosh.
And it's rewarded by not doing anything. It just gets better and better. The longer you can not do anything, it just gets better. There's rewards in stillness.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, and it doesn't have to be hard, and it doesn't have to take long, and it doesn't have to look special. And like, I don't want to be the one who perpetrates the idea that we have to do things, do more things to learn how to be still,
Mm,
right? You actually unlearn things to be still. You could be still. We know I'm the most practical person on the planet when it comes to spirituality. Maybe even I'm a little boring. But, everyday mundane tasks for me are the place to find the stillness. If you incorporate the stillness into your everyday life, then you are actually in that state of alignment more frequently than not. Rather than trying to create a whole new practice around stillness, practice being still with the already, right, practical aspects of living. Even if it's putting on your makeup. Well, I don't really wear too much makeup, but I have had a practice where putting on my face in the morning was the place of stillness. And you will be surprised. You probably won't even think you need makeup in that place because you're like, God, I'm beautiful. You
mm.
can feel it, you can see it, it's like you can smell it. It's stillness is palpable. It's
It's an actual essence and substance.
yeah.
Yes. And it's active within itself. It's dynamic. I experience it as dynamic, like it's doing something, even if I'm not doing something. It's still ordering things, it's still flowing and expressing. So when we get still, we tap into something far beyond, as the Course says, time.
Yes.
Time, right?
Yeah. I mean,
Mhm.
we experienced that in our 4 a.m., practice together. At first, it feels like time is a constraint until that was no longer true at that time. It wasn't a constraint, it wasn't an effort, right? And oh my God, didn't you connect to
Oh my God. Arcturus, yeah,
Arcturus? Or, yeah,
experience. It's quite the
yeah.
experience.
You were really, I mean, I really remember like how, beyond time we traveled and what was coming to us collectively and individually.
Is beyond words. That if we really do it, we really did it, and we really do it. If you
Yeah.
really, right, do it,
Yeah.
right?
There are things from that period of time that I was exposed to in terms of like I heard, felt, sensed, know, whatever you want to call it, that in that clear knowing, I'm still seeing unfold
Mm,
now, where I'm like, oh, wow, I didn't understand that fully at the time. But, and things I'm not even ready to undertake that were instruction that in some way came during that period.
mm.
So it is beyond the reach of time. Like, had I thought to myself that I needed to do something with that information back then, I would have missed blessing that I was going to live it, and that when ready, it will be ripe for sharing. It will have purpose. But make no mistake, like it was delivered and sealed and signed, and I just was, like, I don't get this. Like, I don't know how that's going to be a thing. So it's a beautiful, this is a beautiful practice.
It really is. And, you said a few things there that would be really beneficial to unpack. And one of them is the practical aspect of it, because you're super practical. And it's like, if it's not like concrete, if it's airy fairy, Danielle is probably just going to wisp it away. Like, it's just a very real kind of approach that you have to things. And so when you have a family, you have a son, you have a husband, you have business, you have a house, you have neighbors, you have life, you have family. So I don't know if sometimes people think that you're supposed to have time for stillness. Like, if I didn't have kids, or if I didn't, like, life's not going to stop. I haven't seen life stop yet for anyone to say, oh, let's stop so you can be still. So you're in your life, and spirituality will make you be even more in your life, even more present to the children, the grandchildren. We all have all these beautiful components to our life. So how do you do stillness with all of that? Because you have a full life, as we all do.
Yeah, and what's funny is I came to spirituality unencumbered. I was relatively single. I had nothing but time. I did not have a business. Um, and in fact, for the majority of my studies before intervisions and during, I wasn't working at all. I really was like a monk in the city. Like, I just had all of this space, time, and freedom, and all of the, again, I'm not poo-pooing the airy fairy part. It is definitely, those are my roots. But what you said is really important. What happens to it when you now have, by choice, by design, right? My son is an answer to my prayer. I got my husband as a sort of like adjacent blessing because I wanted to be a mother. I say that because I wasn't dating anybody when I wanted to be a mother, and I was open to, I don't know how this is going to happen. And then I met my husband, and he was starting a business. I wasn't planning on starting a business at that time. And little by little, my airy, fairy life that I loved of, unencumbered space and time closed, and closed. And, in some ways it felt like it was closing the door on God for me. So it was really more by necessity. I now didn't know how to live without God. And the like physical aspects of my life were changing so that I didn't know how to fit God in. And then that's where
that gym was just like, I mean, a CrossFit gym is no easy task. That is a gargantuan task.
No, it really was. Any kind of like public retail boutique space, any place where you can't just close today because you feel like it, or not get on Zoom because you're tired, is a totally different animal. And in terms of responsibility and accountability, again, by blessing and by design, it wasn't imposed on me. I was opting into these things.
And you created, because we watched you create the life you dreamed of. You created it literally, like with putty.
Yeah, the way we create all things, right?
All of our lives. Yeah, it was a very conscious creation.
So the practical side of me was born out of necessity. I needed to find places to be still while moving. I just had to. I had a son who never napped. He never slept. I mean, it was like you know what I mean? Like, you just can't make it up. Like, I was like, this is crazy. I would ask people, when do you think, like, when did your kid start sleeping? And they were like, oh, he slept like 1 month, 6 months, a year, 2 years. I'm like, okay, well, I'm going on 5 years. And he hasn't slept one night through the night. I don't know how much non-sleeping we can do, but we're going to keep doing it. So the way excuse me, I believe the way to do it is to invite God in, to
Mm,
invite spirit in, and to be so present that you can't possibly do or be anything but still. So I like to do it at first with things that are more active meditation, seems to be easier for people. So, like taking a shower, washing your body, being so present, like the things we just do every day. Brushing your teeth. Brushing your teeth can be brushing your teeth, or you can feel the bristles on your gums and how
mm,
it changes when they touch your teeth, right? You can watch the water like on the brush. You can feel it in your mouth. Like to me, that's being still. Being still is being in complete mindfulness of what I'm doing, at least on the practical side. And then you'll be surprised at when it opens. Like instead of saying like, "Oh, did I get it today? Am I getting enlightenment from brushing my teeth?" No, just show up every time and really brush your teeth. Don't brush your teeth and think about what time you have to leave or when you have to go to work or whether or not you're going to take that second sip of coffee after you brush them. You know what I mean? Like, can I get that one more sip? It's like, be there, brush your teeth. Like, that to me is what nature does. Nature doesn't say, like, oh, I wonder what it's going to be like tomorrow. Like right now, right? It's cold in Florida where I am. It's colder than it's been. And you can see nature around me contracting a little bit.
mhm,
Now, it
mm,
won't die off here too much because it's Florida, but in the cold, you can see it responding to
mhm.
exactly what is present right now. Just like you can see a thirsty plant, right? Rehydrate itself. That to me is what it means to be perfectly present and peaceful. That stillness, the response to what is, not where I want to go, what I want to do, what I want to have. Like, I wouldn't use that as a creation time. I'd use that as a stillness time because once the stillness is a part of who you're being, again, you can take it to all the things in your life. Pick some place where you are willing to let go of the doing of it and practice being present with it so that God will talk to you. I mean,
Oh
like
yeah.
truly,
Oh,
it's I trust that part more than anything. What I don't trust is somebody who's like really says they're going to be practicing mindfulness when they're brushing their teeth. I'm like, okay, we'll see.
okay. Yeah, yeah. We'll see.
Right.
Tell us at 10 a.m. how it turned out for you. You know.
Right. Because the best thing you could tell me as a client is that you noticed that there's a different texture on the brush.
Mm,
You know what I mean? Because then I
mm,
know that you're practicing being present. You
mm.
know, some people will say, oh, I got a download. I'm not interested in the download. I'm interested. I mean, your ego knows more than enough,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
To tell you that, oh, you're enlightened right now.
yeah, yeah.
But
That's what it tries to tell us. You're so
yeah,
enlightened,
well,
you don't need any more spiritual practices. Like, right. It's time to really dive into my spiritual practices when I hear something like that, right?
and this way, I'll tell you what, my spiritual practices, I do have spiritual practices. They're
Yeah,
of all
yeah.
different kinds, but they're so nourishing that
Hmm.
I like savor them. I don't need to be tending to them, like we'll say like religiously. They're like there for me. They're a depth of love that is just indescribable. You know what I mean? Like when I sit in prayer, it's not because I have to pray today. When I sit in prayer, I'm just open. And I'm like right there, like just instantly connected to that beautiful, very much a practice, one that I love and value, but I don't have a requirement. Like, did I pray today? Of course I did somewhere. If I was present, I prayed,
Hmm.
right?
Absolutely. And then you move into this space of it's natural. I don't want to say baked in. It unfolds from a different place in a different way. It's no longer something that we have to make ourselves wake up and do. It simply is. It simply is. And
Yeah,
yes, and the chore goes out of it. There
yeah.
is a chore in my spiritual practice.
And why can't we say it's baked in? I mean,
Yeah.
why, why would we believe that something that is so inherent, our connection is inherent? Why would we believe that it can't be so present that we stop doing it,
Mm.
that we're just living it? Like, it's
Mhm.
an internal conflict. I don't know about you, but being in the spiritual, community for like over 20 years at this point, and listen, I've practiced and studied all kinds of things that, still till this mind, like, entertain my mind and my spirit. But I'm like, at what point is it okay to just say, I just am like this? It's the way I live. It's the way I am. It's who I am. It's what I am. Right? Like, why can't we?
We can. And we are actually. It is how we live. So
Yeah.
saying it
But
is a recognition of truth. And we've been living it
yeah.
for a
And
long time. Yeah.
yeah. And I think about it and I'm like, it's not from a place of arrogance.
Right.
It is from a place of certainty. I'm like, it's almost funny sometimes, when you talk with family, things can get a little left of center in conversation sometimes.
Yeah.
And so, like, I've had conversations with family members where they're like reminding me of things that are just inherent natural for me every day. It's like, oh, you should pray. And I'm like, you think I haven't? Like,
Mm.
what are you saying to me? Like, this is not something I could, it's not possible for me not to
Pray.
pray. It's not possible for me
Exactly.
not to
Your
still
whole
my beingness. It's just like, it's not possible at this point, right? And it's funny how, like, people perceive that you could have a challenge or an issue, or maybe you're just being really superhuman like I am sometimes, and venting or being, releasing of things that are just on my mind. And then their answer is to be exactly who I am. And I'm like, yeah, I got that part covered. Got anything else? Like,
I got that down pat.
yeah.
You said a very interesting word, a word that I have been challenged on lately.
Hmm.
And you are the perfect person to talk to about this because you know this very well. Um, in my unfoldment with arrogance. So I told them the story the other day. I said we were given a ministerial duty, and I was like, why don't we just pay someone to do this? And Reverend Lynn, well, she was Minister Lynn then. She has 50 million ordinations. This was right. She including ordination from TD Jakes. Props,
Wow.
this props. She turned to me and she was like, "How arrogant is that?" I was like, "Ooh, what?" With no awareness of arrogance in the building, right? It was just so, it was so, I won't say natural. It was a go to. It was a go to, and it was an artificial go to. Because when I got to the bottom of arrogance and thinking you're more than, is always less than underneath it. And so
Mm.
pull out the rug of less than, and the other stuff has to just flop, and collapse. You don't have to go after every single thing in your consciousness. Just right, just be love. So I joined this coaching program. You know how we're always
Yeah.
joining something, up leveling something, because it's critical for us to do that since we work with so
Yeah.
many people, right?
Of course.
And the first thing this coach says is, I want you to drop humble at the door, and I want you to be arrogant. And in my mind, I'm like, wait a minute. I spent years
You're like, that bag? I don't know if I can pick that bag back up.
with arrogance. Still do when it comes up, right? And because of that, my sacred name is Shona Ife, humility and love, so that I could, our command, our invitation, rise to the essence of your name. And you know what she so lovingly shared is that there is something that you are best in the world at. And I'm telling you, I've been I've been having some conversation about this.
Mm-hmm.
You're best in the world at because of your unique gifting, your unique experiences, your skill sets, who you are, your divine fingerprint
Mm-hmm.
means that if I go all the way into my divine fingerprint, which now I think is harder than ever to do because coaches and, make a course, it's just like everybody's kind of they're in these currents or streams, be an author. And then these are all the ads you're going to see if you want to be an author, right? And you're going to do it like this. So we've got a whole lot of seeds of sameness,
Mm-hmm.
which feeds the unwillingness to go to the core of what is my not sameness, which is the gift, my not sameness, to the
Mm-hmm.
world. I mean, the
Mm-hmm.
world wants to see something that it never saw before. Okay, seeing more of that, more of that, more of that, right? And to be so in touch with the not sameness
Mm-hmm.
that it unfolds as a beautiful expression, like a flower blossoming, a rose blossoming to its fullest, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that is the gift to the world. So, what is your not sameness, which she calls you are the best in the world at that? What are you the best in the world at? Like, and when she said, be arrogant about it, like, I want you to be so confident with it when you walk into the room that it's bordering on cocky. Like, she's like, play at that edge.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be like overbearing, like I'm this, I'm that. That you're so in, like this is core. And you know what she says she does? She's a teacher, she's a coach and a teacher,
Mm-hmm.
works with a lot of people that are multi-gifted, right?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people that I know, we can do a lot of things and we can do them good. We can do them well,
Yeah.
right? She said that she asks people who are clearly super gifted people, gifted at many things, and have demonstrated it with clients and in their work in the world and all of that. And she asked them, what are they best in the world at? And we all choke up like, best in the world? Like she says, she watches epic people. They're clearly epic, choke up every day because they're not willing to be the best in the world. Own it, claim it, breathe it, never have to say it. You never have to say it. And actually do that thing. And the ones who do that become icons.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think what you're describing is true in the sense that a common characteristic of iconic, successful, like super successful people is an element of arrogance. They must. And so maybe we'll let's reframe the word for the sake of all the work you did to release from it. Right? To not undermine your truth and to live into the request that's being made of you, right? One, certainty of purpose clears it up. It's both humble and arrogant at the same time, mostly because in order to have the level of certainty, you must be humble internally because that isn't something you're going to claim. Certainty is something you know. It's not something you're, co-opting, right? So the certainty is a demonstration of arrogance when you show up as someone who knows. So I would say you do need to have some arrogance in the soup, because what happens when you don't have it is you become aware of too much around you. And in order to do what she's asking you to do, you really need to be like this. And a little arrogance will help.
Like a dash blended in. Like,
Yeah. What if we thought about it more like alchemy, right? You like alchemy, right? I'm
Yeah,
assuming you
man.
like
You
alchemy,
talking my language now. Yeah, I'm sitting up.
right? Okay, so let's look at it from the alchemist's perspective. Every emotion, every aspect of emotion is good. It actually is not negative. That's just silliness that we've created because what people call negative makes people uncomfortable because they don't know how to manage themselves in the presence of something that's uncomfortable, right?
Mm.
Nobody really, don't really have to take somebody's quote unquote negative in order to honor and respect the person in front of you. You could just stay in peace if you were not triggered or afraid that it was contagious. You'd be fine.
Yes, that's the work of a master. That is the work of the master. Right?
Right, the mastery of self, so that I know you're free to be wherever you are and I'm free to stay wherever I am. I don't have to get in that boat with you,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
So if arrogance is neither negative nor positive, then what, I ask you, would a dash of arrogance, what would it do for you? What would it give you permission to bring back to yourself, right? To let come through you in order to fulfill your destiny.
It would take the break off. I'm aware. Yeah. I'm aware of, like, in the back, like a little breaks. I'm
Right.
aware.
So, what does having the break on do for you?
What would a break on do or
Well, it's
off?
obviously on.
On
Yeah.
slows me
What's it doing for you?
down. Say that
What
again.
is what is having the break on doing for you?
Breaks on slows it. The fear, hesitation, trepidation. Let me not create the mistakes of the past. It's backward looking. Breaks off, jump off the cliff, possibilities, rocket ship, and like, oh, what's that gonna be like? It's more possibility and unknown.
Okay. So here's what I sense in terms of, well, again, as an emotional alchemist.
Yes.
There's a lot of judgment that you would want to let go of
Because
in order to keep the arrogance.
I've judged arrogance. It's bad. This is
Well,
not good.
you
I shouldn't get in any way. I shouldn't be arrogant. I should be humble. That's the inner conversation.
yes, and the judgments are really about all the things you keep the brake on for, mistakes of the past. If you were truly free of those in terms of self-forgiveness, meaning there's nothing to forgive, it was a state that you passed through and it's done, there'd be no need to protect that part of you. So
Mm.
the arrogance is an accelerator, and the only thing in the way are the judgments.
Ooh, that's good. That's good. Here I go again. I forgive myself for judging myself as here goes our forgiveness practice again. Because it has been one of my, intentions. It's been one of my goals. It's what to be as humble as possible. In that I don't ever fall into the trap that the arrogance is getting in the way of something, or I have a fear that the arrogance could destroy like years of work. Like
Okay,
people these
well, you've given it so much power that
yeah,
there's there's no peace in it.
yeah.
What could what's a worst case scenario? Excuse me. Let's say you wake up today and you
Humiliation or fall from grace. That's what, yeah. That to me, that's like it's probably the worst. Like, okay, it's like a Bikram. Remember how Bikram was like this incredible, he brought this incredible thing to humanity of Bikram yoga, right? And then, the Bikram story. You know how I used to go to hot yoga and stuff like
yeah,
that?
that I know.
Well, Bikram is this Indian gentleman who bought, well, I don't know if I can call him a gentleman. Anyway, he bought hot yoga to the West. And these 26 asanas, this particular way of doing things, and this particular breathing that tremendous, I do it still to this day. It was a huge gift for me. So Bikram did all that. He bought it. He had thousands of people, I mean, millions of people all over. He started these centers all over the place, Bikram. And then this big scandal of him. I just heard. I just heard something. You're afraid of scandal. Sorry. As I'm talking about this, I just heard. I just have to laugh at sometimes how spirit does these things. And sure enough, he has some, what do we call it? Some episodes with women that were unsavory. And so it's just like this big black space. I'm hearing now black hole. Like you think you're going to be obliterated into a black hole, right? Because of a scandal or some public humiliation thing. And because of that, now they started taking Bikram name off of the hot yoga studios all around, and they named everything hot yoga. And he's just like, when you hear his name, it's just like, and I don't think it would be that to that a horror extent. Yeah, and I don't know where he is now, and I don't know if any of it's true. They did a whole documentary about him on TV and whatnot. That's the kind of thing that plays out in my mind that arrogance could do. Like you, and that wasn't even arrogance for him, it was more like lust or something like that. Well, like whatever one of your 7 deadly sins is. I mean, I know it does not have any basis whatsoever what I'm talking about. It's all bullshit. It's still in my mind.
Okay, so let me tell you what I'm hearing.
Okay.
It's both end. Don't dismiss it as bullshit, because when you do that, you miss the opportunity to actually clear it, because now it got filed in a bucket that says, don't pay attention to this. But we've already established that this is part of what's in the way.
Yes.
So
but what I mean when I say bullshit, baseless. I should have said that. That to be
it's not baseless.
Yeah, it feels like it's base. And when I say baseless, I mean it doesn't feel like there's anything really there. It feels like I made the whole thing up. It feels like a story.
And yet here it is.
And still is here.
So it's not about the making it up. It's about the fact that, again, if you just look at it like as an alchemist, what is in this container, right? Before we can empty the container or we can transmute this container, we got to see what's in it.
True.
So right now, there is something in it that says scandal is dangerous.
True.
And your librarian, right? I don't know if we've ever talked about the librarian in your head, right? Yeah. She is pulling every file that you have. There's shit in your head that you're like as soon as you say that, I'm like, even Oprah was caught up in the beef scandal.
Exactly.
There's no way around it. So it is not BS. It is a very real potential, a real risk of being and living your truth, being and living the very best at whatever it is. What I'm going to back it up with is this interesting explanation about science that I just found it amazing. Science is arrogant because it is always only going to be as true as the next thing they can prove. So science says that it's fact, that it's truth. When they talk about science, at least, people back it up with science, right? But science is ever evolving. So it's only as true until the next person proves it wrong. And it's not about the proving it wrong so much as it's about developing and understanding something new differently, or something old in a new way. So the reality is that you are at risk of scandal the minute you step out of your box. And the arrogance as an essential ingredient will help put the blinders on so that you don't not do what you really feel certain is yours to do because of the potential risk that's real at I mean, you're not getting around it. I don't care how great and straight you live, or how narrow and small you play, you would be caught up in a scandal anyway.
Especially in
It's
today.
real.
Yeah, yeah, it's real. And you know what I'm also hearing as you're saying this? That you already have that. Because I'm on a whole bunch of blog posts as Christian witch. I'm already infamous. Like they're like, you already have that. Like you already did the thing you're afraid of because they have blog posts about me. They preach sermons about me. People come back and tell me that a bishop preached a whole sermon about the Christian witch, Valerie Love. Really? Don't know him. Never heard of him. And it did nothing. It literally did nothing.
So, okay, so if we're going to say that, what's the real fear around the arrogance? Is now you're at a place where you can probably hear it. What's the real fear around the arrogance?
Dishonoring God like that. I came to this planet I came on a mission. Did I fulfill the mission? Like, I always say I live for one thing, my Father's well done. That when I end this life, that's all I want. That's all I want. That's really my driver is well done. And I know I have it. Yes, something in me still wants to get it. Yeah.
Yeah. And you see how much more emotion is there.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why it's not BS.
Yeah.
The stories may be, but not the actual ingredients. And so the fear of not, I mean, imagine you pull out all the arrogance and you're not actually as good as you think you are. You're not actually as much as you say you are, or it isn't real, or you've been ghosted by God because when you step out in that place, it may feel like you're more alone than ever, even though you were certain that you did it with God, for God, in the right, not correct, but in the alignment that we have come to know as God. And you could be more alone than ever out there. That's what arrogance creates. Isn't that negative? It's the absence of, like, the exception of everything but self.
That it eliminated everything except the essential self.
Mm-hmm. And fortunately, this lesson today, if not ironic that anything, says that Christ is already in there. So it's really not possible, right? He is in me, and in him is his creator. Okay, so we stand together, one in alignment, right? We are in alignment, Christ and I, in peace, certainty of purpose, aka arrogance. And when I step out there in certainty of purpose, in arrogance, I'm going to feel alone as shit and vulnerable. And in case I do that, and in him is his creator, him, Christ, in me, his creator, as he is in me. So the three of you are going to be okay.
Oh. See, this is perfect timing because I said to Spirit on the way up here that I was going to end this in Sedona. I'm not coming off this rock until you know how we do. We go in. And I'm not coming off this rock until this is handled. And here comes Reverend Danielle. How about Tuesday morning? Yeah, Tuesday morning is the perfect moment for unraveling this. Yeah, because how can I go forward with just and I said, God, in 2023, I'm balls to the wall, balls to the wall. No more putting on the brakes, balls to the fucking wall. And so whatever is in here, that must be whatever. I don't even know. It happens here and now. Like, this is it. This is my Alamo. This is mine. All right.
Have you ever watched NASCAR? I haven't watched it too much, but I've watched a little bit here and there. And I will say this: if you're going to win the fast race, you're going to be at risk of crashing.
Uh-huh.
And you just need to decide that it's okay.
It's okay if I crash and just turn my
It's
car.
okay. Even if you crash and burn,
Exactly.
truly. Well, it's crazy because in the back, they like they can put parts on cars while you're in the middle of the race. Like,
Yeah.
that is part of that whole, experience. Like, they have the pit and you go in, you can get new tires if they get broken. You can get, like, I think you can get a whole new chassis. Like, you can get a lot of new parts in minutes, instantly, and then get back out there and act like nothing ever happened. But those people are not putting the brakes on. What we would be calling a tow truck for, they're like, "Get me back to the pit so I can get a new piece and get going." Like, that is the arrogance of confidence. That's the arrogance of certainty. That is the arrogance of knowing, right? So arrogance is, we like, when we use it as a negative connotation, what we're probably saying to people is, we don't like that you think you're so great.
Uh.
But meanwhile, they're like, "But I am so great." What's the problem? You don't like it? Okay.
Right. I am great. and everyone's great, right?
Right.
Yeah. And I realize that if I don't NASCAR my life, like, that's the perfect. Danielle, oh my God. I just love you. I just so love you because you just always come either with a hammer or a feather and you know when to use which. And sometime a whip and sometime a hug. Like, you just have your thing and you know when to do what.
And that is what I am the best at in the world at.
That. And that's not.
I am both masculine and feminine in my teaching and delivery, in my listening and my being. And I know that I confuse the hell out of people because they're like, "How is she being both of those things?"
How does she have Thor's hammer and a fairy feather or a fairy wing? The flutter of a fairy wing.
Sometimes it's the same sentence.
Which is, I have the God bumps now because what a gift. What a gift. And not anyone can talk to me about this.
No, I understand that. In that case, we already are a little arrogant, and I just
That's arrogant. I just said.
Well, I hate to say it, but, like, the trees can give me really great advice, but some fool walking past me like thinks they know everything. I'm like, "Oh, you probably shouldn't talk to me. I think I'll ask the tree. I'm not really sure that you are aware." Because having awareness of, like, self-awareness makes that arrogance piece a neutral piece. You're so self-aware that that's just not, like, what you fear from before won't happen. So you alchemized your arrogance. You didn't really try to get rid of it, even though, like, it may have felt at the time we were trying to get rid of things. We weren't. We were really bringing them into alignment and alchemizing them. The truth is, you're an arrogant bitch. You know why? Who the hell gets on fucking YouTube and says they're a Christian witch? Who does this? Who takes people on these retreats and makes a decision that, like, there's a whole segment of human beings who agree with you?
Yeah.
You already are it, right? So you're playing in false humility, not real humility, if you don't own the arrogance. That's just but you don't have to worry. Your self-awareness will take care of you.
Yeah. Ooh, that NASCAR. Like, okay, you crashed your car. Okay. And look, you got new tires. Like, how many times have I crashed my car before and got new tires? Like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what? You just said something very important. This is true, I believe, for most people who want to take the brakes off. Do it with more support than you need. Do it with more support than you think you need. Because that pit crew, that is the difference between winning and losing. That is the thing that keeps the vehicle on the road. That is the distinction from somebody out for a fast joyride. When they are racing, that pit crew is 100% prepped and ready to go. And you may want to consider having the kind of support that's, like, on call. because you're not, that's what taking the brakes off does for people. You can't, it's not a great way to say it, but you can't afford to stay on the road with messed up thinking, emotions that are getting in the way, right? Like, so there's the place to keep the, when you're taking the break off, you want like exceptional support.
Oh, I love that. Oh, I love that. Black Women Stand Up said, this is so delicious. Isn't it, Black Women Stand
Mhm.
Up? Because I promised myself, and I promised humility, promised humanity that, yeah, I'm going to get this together because I know people are waiting on me. Millions, possibly billions of people. And when I say waiting on me, like they're not waiting at the door for me, that this means something. This
Yeah.
that
Why don't you
matters
just
for me.
say
Yeah.
ready, that they're ready for you?
Yeah, they're ready. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, and of course, like as you move, they move. I mean, it's a wave. It's really, it really is humble to think that you'd go out first and put yourself there as a shield, not for you perhaps, but for them who come with you.
Mhm.
You know, you're definitely capable of taking a few hits.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
So, you
I'm
know,
humble.
we're like somebody new who comes in with this same stream of consciousness that you support, that you are, you know, nurturing with all of your beloved friends in your community. Like those new people, those people who are coming to that consciousness because they feel the stream of consciousness and the calling to that consciousness, maybe they're not quite strong enough yet to take a few hits,
Mhm.
and you can. I mean, so that, I think that's when you say like for people are waiting for you, like that's how I see it. Like you can stand in the consciousness, you can represent and demonstrate that it's okay, and you're strong enough to take a few hits. Like you're going to get hit. I mean, just assume you're going to get hit. It's easier that way. Have
That's it.
amazing support so that when you get hit, you just go to the pit crew, clean the shit up, and get back on the road.
And, and then floor it again, like, like
That's
don't be
right.
like timid. Like, are these new tires okay? No, they're just like flooring it, flooring it, flooring it, flooring it.
That's
Yeah.
right. Well,
And the
the
big
tires are always okay until they aren't. And
ah,
that's the distinction of thinking. You cannot be in, uh, like, you can't be in the consciousness that says, I'm both going to prevent error and
ah.
forge something new. So you,
You're reading the inside of my mind, like, okay, I'm gonna
I
make
can't
sure
do that.
that try to
No,
be careful and be a trailblazer. Like I'm a fucking
no.
trailblazer. I was born a trailblazer. I'm supposed to be a trailblazer. Like you're creating
Yeah,
something.
no, it doesn't work. It doesn't work like that because my clients are people who take the brakes off. And so this conversation is natural for me in the sense that, like, it is an option. You can either risk it and move. You have to make the assumption that tires are good until they aren't. And when they aren't, you have great pit crews going to replace them and put them on. And then you move again, like tires are good until they aren't.
Mm,
And when, but that in that space, let me tell you what the humility is in that space.
okay.
It is the most humble place you could live. In the center of arrogance is pure humility.
The course says the exact same thing. The
Well,
course
I'm
says the
sure
exact
it
same
does.
thing.
I feel like I
You
mean,
you you nailed it. Totally
it
nailed it.
is.
Yeah, you totally nailed it. Because what it says is that to make up a persona other than what source spirit said you are, and source spirit said you're magnificent, you're spectacular, supernova, you're that. I don't want to believe that. Instead, I want to make up something else about myself. And I believe that more than I believe truth. Well, then you're arrogant because humble would be to accept your magnificence and your greatness. Like you said exactly, that in the humility is the acceptance that is arrogance. That you accept, yeah, God said I'm God. God said I'm God.
And that makes people uncomfortable and that makes you a target. Oh, well, that's just it. Like, and you can't change that part. You know, what you can do is become so unfuckwithable that it doesn't matter.
mm,
Again, like the greats of, you know what I mean? Like you can be that. It's like, well, okay, yes. And the truth is that the humility is you've surrendered all of your ideas to the idea that is you. How humble is that? I mean, that's not arrogant in that, yet it is.
and so much power. It's almost like I feel, Danielle, when I'm operating in that, I feel untouchable.
Yeah.
Feel untouchable. Like when
Until you are touched. And then you're like, you touched me.
like
Yeah.
writing the next Christian witch book, I'm like, none of that stuff is present. None of it. I'm just, yeah, yeah, yeah. And then there's those moments where these things creep in and like, but like, whoa, whoa, whoa.
Only because you have a frame of reference for it. If you had no frame of reference, you would not be at the effect of it. So if your librarian didn't have a file that says you could get canceled, right? Like
Yeah.
in this bizarre society where we decide
Yeah,
we could
cancel culture. Yeah.
right? So like if that wasn't really in the file already, you wouldn't even understand it.
Right. I wouldn't know what it was.
No,
Yeah.
but it's why like neurodiverse people do really well with breaking barriers. They don't have files for lots of things. You know what I mean? Like they don't retain, they're not seeing, they're very like a lot of times they have these beautiful like streamlined consciousness where it's like one thing, they just have to do this one thing and their brilliance is just going to apply to the one thing. And they don't see the other parts of it. So it's
Jeff
like from that.
Bezos person is what you're meaning? Is that the kind of thing you're talking about? Like building Amazon kind of thing?
I don't know if he comes to mind, but I mean, I guess that, you know, we could say him, but I think more like any of the any of the people who have broken barriers to what's possible. So just take it off of, right? Even if we go back to the Wright brothers putting
I
a
was
plane
just
in the
thinking,
sky, like, you know
I
what
was
I mean? Like
flight, the sound barrier, like it's gonna press.
exactly. We put people in space now, but you know what I mean? Like anybody who has been in a position to create something that hasn't been created before and no file, no evidence that
Ah,
like there's
that
no evidence that this is going to work or not going to work. So then they just keep
they're
going
new
until
to
it
it.
works.
Okay.
Exactly. So you just have to check your librarian. It's like she is the reason you get like, what?
Yeah, yeah. Could you describe the librarian? So for the purposes of, because me and you know the librarian, we have a lot of inner
Yeah.
conversation, understanding.
So this is the easiest explanation I have for subconscious, right? People talk about self-sabotage, they talk about your subconscious, rewiring it, living from 95% of the bottom of the iceberg. Everybody has seen this, right? So for me, the subconscious is best represented as a librarian with an entire system of files. I actually get a kick out of thinking about her in her Dewey Decimal System drawers.
Little
And
glasses.
she's like, right, she's like, So because you're not consciously aware of it, meaning it's not in your conscious mind, it's sitting in the files in the back that you think nobody's looking at. But when you're at risk of any kind, I mean, opening your eyes and walking outside could put you at risk. Standing at the curb, looking at traffic, getting ready to cross can put you at risk. It doesn't have to be like I'm going to be the, next Oprah risk. So any kind of risk, she goes into the files and says, "Here's an like an unknown potential happening. I'm going to do this thing. I didn't do it. Oh, let me see if that's safe. Let me see if we've got a file on that. Has anything happened like this before? Will anything happen? Do I know anything?" And she goes and pulls her files and pulls her files. And then one by one, she starts slamming them at you. Read this, read this, read this, read this. And like I literally see her pulling the file. And she's like, "Take this one. That's not enough. You won't stop. Take this one. oh my God, I've got 100 files like this. And I'm like, holy shit, sister, chill. It's not that file. Like, stop. Right. But I'm just aware that it's easier for me to think of my subconscious as a filing system that's pulling old data. I'm like, have you read the file? It says 1976.
89
Like,
on it.
right. Like, stop with the file. And so then I'm neither judging myself about it, which I don't want to have to go through, although I forgive myself for judging myself. Let me just not have the judgment.
Yeah.
If I understand where it's coming from, then I can do that faster. So I'm like, okay, no judgment. That might be in the file. That doesn't mean the file is true. And it doesn't mean it's relevant. And that's the thing. Like, she doesn't pull only relevant files. She pulls all adjacent
files, somewhat connected.
I'm like, it's like one bad cup of coffee becomes I should never drink coffee again. Really?
It's pretty extreme. It's pretty extreme.
Yeah, but that's how the subconscious operates. It doesn't distinguish or differentiate. What it does is it does everything it has to do and can do to keep you safe. At every level of being, physical, mental, spiritual, emotional, you know what I mean? And then apply it to every category of or aspect of life. She's a very busy girl.
Super busy.
Super busy.
Super busy. So what do people do with the librarian? Now, she pulled 50 files that you definitely should not write that book. It's sitting in front of you. I think most people are just not aware of it.
That's right. And so once you realize that it's the librarian, you're back at choice. You can either read the material or ask her to refile.
Could you put these away, please, librarian? Thank you.
Right. I find that because I'm aware, and my clients find because they're aware of my nutty version of throwing the files at you, like that. Once you realize you're getting hit with the files, you know that you can opt into consciousness right in that moment. You can make a conscious choice and either say like, okay, so there's some cleaning up to do, right? Because I'm really listening to your librarian. That's also what we do. That's what we do.
Files on
right? Those are our
people that just went to just crisp, burned to a crisp. Look at this one. Look at this scandal. Look at this. Look at this. And that's what you want to do. Yeah.
And so, we are both highly skilled in listening to the librarian of others.
Yes.
Right? Listening with your whole being. And so truly, once you know she's there, you're like, okay, nut job. Like I have shit to do, and I either have something to clear, a judgment. I got to feel like clean up some old baggage because maybe the emotion is still trapped in the body and it really needs to be released.
Yeah.
In which case I just say thank you for the awareness. And then I actually sit with the feelings. I feel is my favorite exercise for releasing.
I feel.
And if I can't name the feeling, I just close my eyes and I feel, and I let whatever feeling comes up. And I feel, and then I start to name them. Because when you move them from the subconscious, from the back brain to the front brain, then you actually have released it. So you don't really have to feel every feeling. You don't have to express every feeling, but you do need to feel it. So it becomes a very big practice. When I am upset, I don't trust, it says I'm never upset for the reason I think I am.
Yeah.
That's A Course in Miracles. Yeah. So using the premise of that lesson, I decided that I would create an activity for myself that I can do in the moment anywhere. And it's just, I feel. So if I'm never upset for the reason I think I am, then I can actually just stand there in the upset and say, I feel, no story, just what I feel. Only the feelings list, right?
Your feeling.
Right. And usually my first feeling is, I'm much better at it now, but it used to be that my first feeling wasn't as relevant. And so I would say, let's say I feel angry. Okay. I feel angry. And then as anger wears off in its recognition of itself, I feel sad. And I'm like, oh, I feel sad. And like, I'm sitting there literally going like, oh, it's sad. I feel sad. Sometimes I cry a second. Sometimes I don't. You know what I mean? But the recognition of those emotions is what releases them. So it's like a shortcut to clearing out those old files. Like, then the file gets lighter. she doesn't have as much evidence left. It's like filing a blank page,
Mm.
you
Because
know?
the emotional charge is off of it.
Right.
Uh-huh.
The trigger is diminished,
It's
right?
took the charge or the detonator. It's like a
Yeah.
bomb disarmed.
Yeah, exactly. And so again, like keeping it relevant to like taking your foot off the brake, you need to you need to be radically honest about what you feel, and you need to empty the files faster than you've ever emptied them. And you
Just
can't really say like I'm going to take time and process this. Like
no,
it's
in the
not a
moment.
processing it. It's a what will get me. The faster you can identify that true emotion in the like radical honesty, the better, the cleaner, the quicker the resolve. Like that's like just self work. That's an art. You know, you get that feeling, you're like, nope, that's not true. If you have no emotional like reaction, it's not true. It's probably not a feeling. It's a
Mm-hmm.
thought. You know, we have feelings we think are appropriate and ones we don't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So
that feels like a knife just cutting straight through, like a knife through a hot knife through butter. It's
yeah.
very elegant. I think you're best in the world at that too, of making something extremely elegant.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah. You have a lot of gifts.
we're back to that again.
Oh, well, while we're on the subject, what are you best in the world at? What do you do? How do people find you? How do you help people? Talk about you.
Yeah. Okay. So I I'm really gonna say like I am best in the world at listening to subconscious. There's no place your emotions can hide and your thoughts, you know, in front of me. I really do listen at a level that I know is outstanding. And
That is
so
true.
if you need radical honesty in your life, I'm a good place to go, even the best.
Sure.
But
She's
then,
been radically honest ever since look, before we did all this big heavy lifting at Intervisions, like you came in like that. You already had that.
yeah, I had done a whole bunch of work with, you know, spirit and realized that we could be, you know, like seeing the essence of that truth. But because I'm so good at it, what I did was create a program called One Belief a Day, and you can find it at onebeliefaday.com.
We're gonna pull it up like we did before because we want,
Yeah,
when people see things over and over, it helps us.
yeah, of course. And so One Belief a Day is a process that I created or co-created with spirit to helping people take the brakes off in their life while doing all the things we talked about. So here's what I know. It's it can be challenging to know what to do first, how to do it, you know, where are we supposed to go with this? But One Belief a Day is an audio course that takes less than 10 minutes every day, and it moves you in consciousness from the, well, we'll just call it level one, but it's not. It's like we moves you in consciousness from guilt and shame and disappointment into taking your foot off the brake and expansion, inspiration, bliss, joy, love. But we pass through each of the levels of consciousness in between. So we are systematically emptying the files, 8-10 minutes a day, systematically retraining the librarian to speak your language that you actually need to speak in order to change anything in your life. Doesn't matter what you're changing. And we also support her in emptying the files and filing that blank page in there so that you can create from the place of true connection and stillness, from the place of oneness. Um, and we do it in a subject centric manner. But what we're really doing is teaching your subconscious that it can apply this to anything. So there's a lot of it on the back end that is not what you think it is. And yet you're going to notice that your ability to expand, to change, to transform, to react differently, to learn to respond to your own librarian is what we're really changing here. And again, I made it in a way that's affordable, that's fun
Yeah.
to use, that's super efficient. When one thing I learned is that I don't have 4 hours, and I'm not going to make 4 hours every day
Hmm.
to commune with spirit, at least not in one chunk. And so 10 minutes a day, it's a micro dose, and it's a potent micro dose. And so we work from microdosing the subconscious and bringing you into a state of enlightenment and inspiration and openness. And if you don't see a course there that you think is for you, then by all means reach out. I love doing custom courses, and I have several of them that I've done for clients that are, amazing. Because what happens is I meet with your librarian, find out what is going on in there, and then we create an audio course designed for you.
For that. And you were talking about creating it for Christian witches, which I love. And so maybe even for I see this healthcare workers. So if a person has like let's say a group of clients, or they have a business, or they have a company, and in their company they're focused on, let's say it's a company that does, I don't know, um some kind of thing, like we have a company that does retreats for people. So
Mm-hmm.
right? And so all the people that are creating this retreat experience for the people that are going to come in could benefit from this particular what's in their librarian. That's a good thing to do throughout your whole company, because
Yeah.
what's in their librarian about them doing the thing that they're there to do and serve for.
That's right. I mean, again, I think it's simple now when we're talking about it in common ground. Like, if you realize that your subconscious is co creating more of you than you are consciously creating, then it's important when we tell ourselves we want to upgrade an aspect of our consciousness, of beingness, of thinking, and then in reality, the experience of something, right? Like, it's easy to say, all right, it's easy to say you want to be at peace. I want to be at peace. I'm going to do all these things. But the librarian is going to keep throwing the files at you and saying, you cannot afford peace, right? She's just going to keep hitting you with every reason why peace is not available. She is. She's like, see, not here. See, not there, not here. I mean, she's a bitch. Like, she's just like, no peace for you. And you're like, I am peace. I am peace. And she's like,
You
no,
gotta
you're
do that.
not. No, you're not. And then you're like, oh, good. I'm peaceful now. And then as soon as you hear like your kid calls your name, you're like, you say I'm not at peace. So the program says, Chica, sit down, listen to me.
Uh-huh.
Even though my kid is screaming my name right now, I am entitled to remain at peace.
Mm.
And we give her new language to speak to you. And we give her, like, literally, we recreate this relationship from the nut job in there throwing the files to, please look more accordingly to what it is I'm actually asking for. Go and find me evidence that in the midst of the shit show, I had peace in 1973.
And she
And
goes
so she goes and get it because she's trainable.
yes, she is.
She is trainable.
Woo. And then she becomes the most powerful ally because you're
Oh,
subconscious.
then you're creating peace everywhere. Girl be like, ooh, there's a tree. Look, that's peace. And then and like, I open my blinds in the morning and see this beautiful, beautiful pink sky. And, I don't care what it is. Every day I open those blinds expecting peace, expecting
Mm.
this beautifulness. And then sometimes it's even mirrored back to me. Like, my husband this morning woke up and he said, did you see the pink sky? And I said, I know, isn't it so beautiful? And I love that because listen, to me, that was my spiritual practice this morning. I woke up, I opened the blinds, I looked at the vastness of the sky. I saw the colors that can only be painted by a master creator. And I thought, hot damn, I had nothing to do with that. That is just for me. And I am greedy and arrogant and selfish in that way. And I'm like, you put that sky here for me, God. Like that. But like when I'm thinking these things and feeling these things, the Kundalini energy is rising and I'm getting excited and I'm feeling alive and I'm like, wow. And I'm like, I didn't even have to work for it, right? That sky, because I practiced seeing peace and beauty in everything, that sky is ministering to me. So I put the work on life. I'm not going to do all the work all the time. I mean, I want to be ministered to by my life, right? Like that is my, like, listen, if that's one thing I love more than anything else, I don't know if I'm the best in the world, but I love it more than anything else. And that is, I love that my life speaks to me.
Ooh. It is so delicious, isn't it? Because when these things are happening, I'm like, woo, the universe loves me. The universe is so in love with me because it feels like it went and plucked something from the vast array of many things to give you. Because it's like, she's going to love this one. Watch this, watch this. Bling. And it's like, like, it was for you, just for you.
Totally.
Yeah.
And it doesn't even have to be that like crazy or special. I don't need a book to look it up. I'm like, damn, look at the sky.
Yeah. I'm going to block a user here because we get hot girls. And
look, it says sex. That's because I said Kundalini. And then the energy rose. And the Shakti went crazy and pulled out a vixen. You see how fast that is?
How? Okay.
She said he feels it. They said, here's sex.
Oh my God.
My life ministering to me.
Yeah, I love the comments. The comments have been really delicious. It's really delicious because when we and Shade Operator, or is it Sade Operator? Welcome to the channel. Welcome to the channel. I love it. I love it. I love it. When we really get to have these experiences that you just can't have with anyone. I'm going to say something, and Danielle can talk about this if she wants. If whatever you have to say about this, we're welcome to hear. These Instagram spiritual people that try to make you think that it's all rainbows and pixie dust, and maybe you don't have a librarian, or maybe there's just nothing to worry about because if you just put all your crystals in a pretty grid, poof, it's done. Danielle's heavy lifting in the spirit realms over decades is what enables her to do this right here. And what I notice is that there are people that can just put up a spiritual banner, right? Hey, I'm a spiritual life coach. Hey, I'm an energy healer. Come. And be careful because it doesn't, no one's going to say, there are no spiritual life coach, energy healer police. There aren't. Anyone can say they're a spiritual life coach. Anyone can say they're an energy healer. Pay me and I'll do some energy healing sessions for you. Put money in the slot on Instagram and you'll get this. What is there? The word that came to me is pedigree. I'm going to use an arrogant word because I'm in my NASCAR. Yeah. Pedigree.
Good.
People need to check people's pedigree. They need to check some receipts. They need to check, where did this person come from? Before you give yourself your time, your energy, your attention, and share energetic space with someone who just hasn't done work.
It's real. It's real. It's really out there. And it's one of those both and things. I'm so happy that the consciousness is expanding to the point where everybody, not exactly, but in the what looks like everybody wants it. Everybody acknowledges it. It's now part of the social consciousness and language that we use, right? Yeah. When I first got interested, I think there were like 4 books and the rest of them were like wackos.
It was hardly,
like you were like, whoa, like this is mind blowing to me. I mean, except for the hippies, and I was doing it without drugs. So it was like, whoa, is it real without it? But it's, your librarian also knows. you can ask her to pull the fake files.
Like, is this person real? Because you know it. Yet the
Yeah.
fake spiritual teacher, I don't want to say fake spiritual teacher, but the person who maybe wants to do it, I applaud the intention, right? They really want to, and they probably do. No one would say I'm a spiritual teacher unless they felt some kind of calling to say, okay, I'm here for humanity. So some people get the calling, they feel the calling, and the next day they change their Instagram handle and they're a spiritual teacher and they're taking clients. And I just see a lot of that, and people are paying people that don't have receipts, and people are paying people that are, and then they come and tell me what happened. I'm like, why were you even with that person in the first place? So, what can people do to, like, is this real? Can this person actually even really do? Because anyone can make great claims, anyone can run Instagram ads and have great marketing.
Yeah. I mean, what can you do? Check the creds, see if they actually have a LinkedIn profile. Do they actually acknowledge some form of education? I'm not saying you can't get a spirit education, you can, but where have you been? What have you done? Were you here yesterday? Like, listen, I'm going to share it this way. I have been looking for, this is a manifestation story, so it's perfect and relevant. I have been looking for, I'm from New York City originally, and I love Joe's Shanghai soup dumplings. If you have never had them, they are stupid good and unique. Okay? I have been all around the country and I have yet to find them anywhere. Came to places that said they had them, they were not. I was like, this is not
Ooh,
good.
okay.
So when I moved to Florida, uh, in the last 6 years, I have been literally praying. These are the things I pray for. Okay. What peace I don't pray for, but dumplings, soup dumplings, I do. So I'm like, okay,
Ready?
okay, God, this is way out of my control. I just need to have some soup dumplings. Please bring them to me, right? 6 years, no answer. Then 5 years ago, 1 year ago, Trader Joe's started making soup dumplings. Someone told me, they brought me a box. I tried them and I was like, it's okay. I mean, it's not exactly what I want, but it's a close, I'll take it. This is evidence that it's manifesting. They're
Yeah,
coming.
it's coming. It's coming.
So
Yeah.
I said, oh, if Trader Joe's started it, they gotta be someplace else. Now I have combed the internet, including looking up how to make them, which I've decided was not a good idea because they're very complicated. You got to make a jelly, a whole nine, a whole big thing. So on Instagram, this is where it's relevant. On Instagram, where I trust nothing, I
Me too. Continue.
I trust nothing. So I look on Instagram and I see soup dumplings. Now I start to read the comments. That's my first place to go. Instagram stalking, read the comments. Are the comments more about people using the product or more about like just talking and sharing their like story? You know what I mean? In spirituality, you see people, they either are using it as a place in the comments to affirm themselves. Yes, that's been my experience, or do some venting or do some healing, right? Like most people are doing it more self-fully commenting, not praising, right? So
Yes.
I'm looking for the one that says these dumplings were amazing. Like I am reading through these comments and I'm like, whoo, and I'm getting, it looks pretty good, looks pretty good. And then I decide I could buy a taste. If
Oh,
somebody has a program where you can't read a book, get a sample, buy a taste, have a conversation, something that is, listen, I'm really expensive, right? For what
yeah.
I'm not expensive for what I do, but I'm expensive for the average person.
Yeah.
And there is no person I wouldn't get on the phone with to find out whether or not they're a good fit
Okay.
for me. So I'm going to vet people. I'm not getting on the phone to sell you into being here. If you're here, it's more than likely you want to and you already have decided. But I'm going to vet that person.
Mm.
And so what I found is the people who sell more air, less substance in like a one-on-one context where they don't have like a sample of their work. Like you could buy a one belief a day, let's say from me, it's $197. It's not the 20K it costs to work with me for 6 months, but you will hear my voice, experience my methodology. You will understand who I am, right? And if not, I would get on the phone with you if you really wanted to co-create something with me. So I think that if you can't get to the people, then you really, or you can't buy a sample, don't just blindly go in because you feel it. Because you, unless you really are a masterful emotional intelligence specialist with yourself, you can't trust your feelings.
That's right. That's
No,
what I
you can't. Most people can't. Their feelings are not even filed in the right files. For the most part, they don't identify them correctly, in which case they react incorrectly. So, you know what I mean?
Yes.
So, lo and behold, my soup dumplings. I bought them. They were like 39 bucks for 50. I said, this is great. It's like less than a trip to New York to go get the Joe Shanghai ones. I'm like, totally buy into this. I'm like, what's the worst that happens? 39 bucks. I'll throw them out. Doesn't matter. Well, best $39 I ever spent.
Were they the real thing?
Yes, they were on Instagram.
Who would have thunk it on Instagram? Wow.
100%. But here's the thing, I could taste them. And that's why I'm saying that in this funny way. You'll remember the soup dumplings before you'll remember any advice I really give. Find someone you can taste and sample if you're going to engage in like a high ticket experience, you know,
go to their program
or
and
a long, or get into a course. Exactly. Because for the most part, the online coaching industry is the Wild West right now.
It really is.
It's not really established. And it's a risk, you know. It's the arrogance of the industry. Now we're looking at consciousness in terms of arrogance of an industry. The arrogance of the industry is that's going to put a lot of people out there who can't actually do what they say they can do, but it's going to cause refinement as they go. Some people are going to get canceled. Some people are going to get, you know, elevated, and like truly the cream will rise to the top. But that just because you're at the top doesn't mean you're staying there if you are like just a marketer. I don't say just, you need marketing, but if you're marketing something you can't deliver, then you are just a marketer.
That's exactly
right. But if you're a marketer working for someone or for yourself and you can deliver, then you're in alignment. There's a different, you know, experience. So you can, you know, I think that's what's happening all around us. We're gonna watch it, you know, kind of implode before it gets refined. It's the nature of things. Just like getting in your car, you take the brakes off, you know, it's going to happen. So we're just seeing a lot of people take the brakes off, but not necessarily driving a car in a race they were meant for. So, right? You don't want to get caught up in some of that, but I think you can tell.
Every day
we're getting all these new subscriptions. Hello,
yeah, we get new subscribers today, which is so awesome. Every day we're on at 7 a.m. Eastern time. Every day live 7 a.m. Eastern time for A Course in Miracles at 7 a.m. Eastern time until December 31st, and then we go back to our regular programming on this channel, which will be posted. By the way, Kaisi Receipts, I raised my vibration and no more hemorrhaging. We were having that conversation the other day with Cree Naturals about her experience. Within the conversation, I've been able to refocus to debut my company with confidence and arrogance, according to Valerie. Thank you. You're getting a few of us to be arrogant this morning. I love it.
You do need a bit of arrogance to succeed. I've always known this. I've always said it. I don't really shit on it. You need some. It's like, it's a thing. You just need some.
You just need a dash in there and for it to work for you. In this conversation, the big thing I'm getting for it is that it works for me. You know, before, it's a giant shift, which really speaks that you're a master spiritual life coach. Because do you call what you do spiritual life coaching? What do you call what you do?
I do. I mean, I do.
Okay.
More or less.
With a lot of tools at your disposal. One of the big things that happens when a person says, yes, I am answering the call to serve humanity is you get in some kind of curriculum. You meet some kind of teacher. You meet when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. Like teachers have just appeared in front of you, like God put a teacher in front of you in a nightclub.
Really, it will come for you. That's what I say. Like your life, your life is ministering to you. It's, are you present and paying attention? Like, are you present enough to see it? You won't get caught up in too many, inauthentic things when you're so present. But because most of our habits are built out of escaping something. So most people don't want to feel what they're feeling. So they look for the program. As soon as it says you can have it without feeling anything, they're like, that's for me. Think about it. Like it's like buying low fat cookies and saying you're on a diet. Not.
And it's probably going to be cheap because masters are just not cheap. Right. So you see a master and you're like, oh, wow. And you see what's going to be required of you. And you even see in an onboarding process of a master, it's just different. So you see that it's like, whoa. And so then you look for, for the people, not everyone, that then you see these other alternatives and they're talking a good game and they got symbols and mandalas on their logo.
You know what else is a tell? No references. You're not allowed to ask them. Here's the arrogance in the position of shame and guilt. Okay, this is when it's not good. This is a coaching industry thing. You DM a question, you want more details, and they tell you if you're not a hell yes, then you should just move on. But they never answered your question. I'm not saying you shouldn't be a hell yes. What I'm saying is, if I'm inquiring about a product or service, you or somebody you are responsible for should be able to answer my question, not come back at me with some bypass that says that I'm wrong for asking a question. That's the first red flag on the internet, 100%. The other red flag on the internet or with spiritual teachers is, if you have real work to do, I'm not talking about just picking up a course that's like a book. It's not a book, but it's like a digital book, and you just want to dig in and try something, because spirit could have something for you in that. Who cares who the teacher is, right? Like, that's a different animal. But if you have deep work to do, or you have sensitive work to do, and you're going to be vulnerable, you're going to give your energy and your heart to somebody and let someone play in your head, then that person, I would ask for references. And this is another big tell. If they are unwilling to give you references, to work with them for a substantial investment, then you better believe they will not be holding your hand or your heart when you're in that program. They are going to deliver to you whatever it is. And when you don't actually get what you came for, they're going to say it's on you. And it is a very manipulative process in that way. I'm okay with it if you say that up front. There's no hand holding here. This is a digital course. Good luck to you. Have a good time, whatever. But when a lot of times what they do is you get the buy-in of like, I'm going to belong to something. I'm going to have access. I'm going to whatever. And then you're shut down. Right. So I don't have a problem saying, yeah, I have people you can call to find out if I actually did what I said I was going to do.
Sure. And
100%.
Yeah. And most of the time, even with coaches, it will be evident. It will be evident that they are having a beneficial effect on people around them, right? It will be evident. And when you don't see the evidence that this person is having a beneficial effect, this person can do what they say they can do. As you said, if it's just learn a skill, I just want to learn how to, I don't know, I want to learn how to write poetry. Okay, great. Any good course on learning how to write poetry? Great. How to write a haiku, how to do this, how to do that. Here's the components of a poem, a great poem. When you want to get in there, like, why am I still putting the brakes on myself? When you want to get in, when you want to go there, that's Danielle. That's the ones that I know to go to. I know who to go to when I want to get in there.
Yeah, and you also know, like, a master makes many masters. It doesn't make many many copies. And so you can see pretty much. I feel like the online space is transparent, you can see how many people are selling the pyramid and how many people are doing the work. I mean, just a little, little investigation will go a long way in terms of like deep work.
Yeah, deep work, deep work. I love it. Cree Naturals is a new member. Ooh, money in the vortex, money in the vortex. We got a lot of money in the vortex today. We always say money in the vortex and a super sticker and a super chats because this conversation is so delicious. And this conversation is a freeing conversation. And all of us that are sticking in here and really diving into this conversation, it's a freeing conversation. Like now, I feel like NASCAR, because yeah. How many times do they crash and roll over? That
A lot.
they're
Like,
kind of looking for that. Like
yeah,
that's my proof that I was going faster than blazing speed.
yeah. It's your commitment to winning, right? Your commitment to, and it's not even so just the winning, but it's to the commitment to stay in the race. The commitment to stay in the race is what leads to the win, right? Like, you just have to be willing to stay in the race, my dear.
And floor it. It's like floor it.
How much fun is that?
Come on,
I,
sis.
for one, can't wait. Can we just bring 2023 on now? Because I
Yeah,
can't
you're right.
wait
Can we
to
start it right now?
see
Wait a few more days.
where you are going and what you're creating. I mean, you're a wonderful demonstration of what's possible. Truly, your brakes are already off. I understand you may have a little resistance on them, but your brakes have been off for a real long time. And you are a demonstration of what's possible in creating a life that you love, of standing in your power, of demonstrating your authenticity, of trusting life. I mean, I don't really know a better model. Like, you do it, you live it, you are it. Like, right now, wouldn't have to like even act like there's anything new to do. It's just, maybe letting yourself drive a little faster and maybe you'll see something differently. But for real, you're living it, woman. You are the living demonstration of all that you teach. It doesn't
Mm.
get better than that.
Mm. That's what makes me sleep good at night because I'm like, I said it and then I did it, and y'all watch me do it. So
Yeah,
you ain't got no excuses. That's what I tell people. Okay, I said it, then I did it. You watch me do it on a video, and now what's your excuse? You don't have any excuses.
I know. Agreed. Listen, I think because of our conversations, I'm like, I want to go on these retreats.
Come on, speak some people up.
I find my librarian is like, what do you think? Maybe you should like go on one of these.
Yes, let's do it. And then you can teach people. We can do the beliefs for the people.
I'm like, I think it's hysterical. Like, I'm like, what? I'm going on a Christian witch retreat. Not because I couldn't go on one, but I already clearly am one. Like, that's not a thing. It's just, but like, I mean, again, like, it's a compelling vibe in terms of the love and the integrity and just the experience. I know that you always have good people around you, and it's really, I cannot wait to see what you are going to create in 2023.
Oh my goodness. And you know what's so what I love? I love, love, love our people. I love our people, like the deliciousness of the people, right? That you
Yeah.
get to see. I feel like I have a front row seat to watching people unfold their soul. Like I'm up close and personal. Like, yeah, look, it's like when you watch a baby be born. It's
Yeah.
just right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so the people, so we get to be in this house, and this is a beautiful big 4-bedroom house in Sedona. The
Oh,
sun's starting to come up, so the view is just picture windows all around, and the view is right there of like the mountains of Sedona.
oh,
And we get
wow.
to share this with our witches, and we get to do rituals together. And what's a ritual by yourself? It's great, it's super powerful, and I do rituals by myself all the time. And what's a ritual with friends? Oh my God. Just two different things. And both are really feeding to my soul. Both are really feeding to my soul.
It's really nourishing to be with people who share like-minded beliefs and practices. And I mean, that's just a beautiful, it is. It like elevates it. I think it just expands you, right? Like, I'm sure that your programs like retreats are designed to expand from an already expansive state. That's what being with people does. That's what this does. Even just you and I, being here together. It's like this does that for us. Of course we could have this conversation individually, but like being here is such a gift to me. Like it, just to be, you're like the best person to have a conversation with.
Oh.
There's no limits on where it can go. It's so, it's a beautiful thing.
And we probably got thousands of hours of conversations clocked, don't we, over the last many, many, many years, many years.
Yeah, we're over a decade now.
Over a decade, girly girl, something like 14 years, something like that. 2006. July of 2006.
Yep.
What are you eating? Spinach. What are you eating? Carrots. Remember that?
Yes. Didn't you all try to go somewhere down the road? I didn't have a car, so I couldn't go anywhere.
Oh my God. I didn't leave that mountain. I did not leave
There
that
were
mountain.
so many
But I
people.
did go to the little cafe after so Sunday night I got there, and then Monday, we have our experiences, and then I ate in I call it the grazery on Monday. They just pull it straight out the ground and put it straight on it. Like still have some dirt on it.
Mm-hmm.
They pull it straight out the ground and put it on a plate in front of you. That's what they do, right there.
A little dusty.
Look, the first morning I said, "Do you have coffee?" "No, we have chicory." I was like, "Okay, chicory, I'll take it." And then any kind of creamer, soy, okay. Any sugar, agave. I had a chicory soy agave swirl. It didn't work. I need nothing against chicory, nothing against. I love agave nectar. I have agave nectar in my house right now. It was just like I was looking for a
Yeah, it was shocking to the system. Everything is relevant to what you're exposed to previously, like librarian issues.
Yeah.
She didn't have a file for that stuff.
Oh, she was going crazy. Chicory. Oh, what the fuck is chicory? She couldn't find it.
This is not coffee. This isn't even close to coffee.
Like twitching for a minute, chicory, because my librarian was like, she couldn't find chicory anywhere. She was like,
right?
Frame a reference for it. So I was like, okay, give it to me. Like, how bad could it be? We're at a spiritual retreat.
And then she filed it as not good.
Look, my New York librarian that's used to, you walk in any place in New York in the morning, give me a coffee regular. They make the coffee, the cream, the sugar, and it's you go and it's delicious. Like, why can't you people do that?
Because they cannot.
They're not doing that. They're not dishing out no caffeine up in there. They're not doing that. I was the one that had to.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, sis. So Monday all day, we ate at the grazery, right? Morning, lunch, and dinner. Here was my breaking point. Do you remember Wednesday? They were like, "Oh, it's gonna be pizza," and I was like, "Okay." Now, already by like the second or third day, your stomach starts having intense experiences because of eating this all of a sudden way. Unless you were just used to eating that already.
Yeah.
Wednesday afternoon for lunch, I still remember this. I went into the grazery and they said pizza. I just got so happy. I was like, okay, pizza. We are from New York and we know pizza in New York. Like if the orange grease is not running down your arm, it's not pizza. If the slice is not yay big and you pulling the cheese, like it's not New Yorkers, we know what pizza is. Like yeah, we know what pizza is. I got there and they had some kind of bread thing with some kind of baked cheese thing and some kind of tomato thing. I lost it. I was like, I can't do that. I cannot. The pizza day was my breaking point. And that's when I walked out. And that's when I found the cafe. You remember they had a cafe there?
Yes.
Quesadillas and chicken wings. And guess what? Mama and all of them were sitting in there. Mama, Reverend Candace, Reverend, all of them.
But that was down the road.
It was on the same grounds. Yeah, but you had to go down a little bit to the cafe.
Oh, see, yeah. No, I didn't find it, but I knew I had heard people were eating chicken wings. And I thought, where are they eating those?
Where are they having? Where are they? And back then I was still eating chicken. I don't eat chicken anymore. But yet they had chicken wings. They had quesadilla with real cheese. And look how traumatized I was when I walked in there. Danielle, I walked in there and I was like, I saw it like cheesecake. And I was like, is that real cheesecake? They were like, yes, it's cheesecake. No, like with cheese. They said, what cheese? I was like, no, like with milk from cows.
Oh my God.
I was
Oh
traumatized from the grazery because, and that's all you could eat all day, every day, right? That's all you could eat. The gluten free thing they just pulled right out the ground and it still had dirt on it. And,
I'm
and
sure I ate salad every day, is what I think I ate.
I mean, it'll clean your whole thing out. But oh my, once I found the cafe, I never went back to the grazery again. They were like, oh, they made some so and so soup. I'm not interested. I don't care what they're making. At
Yeah.
grazery. I'm not going. Thank you so much, Danielle, for being here, for taking your morning to be with us, because we know you have your family and you have just so much deliciousness going on in your life and your clients. And I love you, sis. I love you. I love you. I love you.
Oh, I love you. And thank you for being who you are to me and in the world, and for letting me come and play with you. I love playing with you.
Oh my God.
This is
So much fun. It's wonderful.
spiritual play with you is amazing.
And I hope you know you're in my pit crew. So, but you know that you've been in my pit crew for a long time. So, yeah, you're in my pit crew. So, thank you for that.
Head mechanic.
Yes. Get that over there and get that over there and get that over there. Now go. It's like seeing you look in the window like, floor it, right? I got these tires, floor it, right? It's like, and when you see a face like that saying, I got these tires on here, you better floor that sucker. Like, you can do it. It just makes me so happy. You can do it.
Yeah.
Because you got
Aw.
people telling you, floor it. I got you, floor it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how we are, though. Our pack
Yeah.
and our line is like that,
It
It's
is.
yeah. So I love y'all for that. All right, I'm crying again. All right, yo. Well, I'm a crybaby. I've been a crybaby all my life. Oh my
They
gosh.
are good tears. I love you. Happy and blessed holidays. And I will see you in 2023.
23. Yes. Head mechanic of the future. That is Reverend Danielle Randall. And you can find her at oneoftheday.com. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. It's all right. Love you. Peace. Peace. Peace.
Bye.
Love you.